Hi, my name is Brian, and I'm the last plastic grocery bag in New York City. Now I can't be a grocery bag anymore, so I work doing video intros. Hello, and welcome to
Distance learning.
We're going to go through how to make a test strip. It is a useful skill. As I've probably mentioned a couple of times, it will save you money and time and hassle in the long run later on in life when you're actually making big prints. So we're not going to do the actual printing of the test strip. You'll make a print, but you won't make a test strip for it, so it's kind of a shot in the dark. But we will walk through how to make a test strip because it's a really important skill. So here I have a file. I don't remember which one this is. Bronx has 1213. And there are a couple of things we need to do before we make a test strip. One, we need to have our file basically ready to go, right? If we send off to get a test strip, but then as soon as we send it off, we go and edit our file a whole bunch, the test strip is not really indicative of what our file looks like, and it's kind of dumb. So we want to make our test strip at the point where we are ready to go. So let's assume that I am right here and ready to go. There's a thing over here keeps poking me. We'll make sure that our image is the right size. So I go to image size. We are printing this at least 18 by 24. And this is size, 15.5 by 23.5. That seems like it will fit on 18 by 24. Set it right there. I'm not resampling. My resolution is 238. That is more than 180, so I think I'm fine. It's important to remember what that resolution is, right? I'm going to need that information. So because this is kind of a random number, I'm actually going to resample it to 239 pixels per inch, which should have basically no effect. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and save as, right? So this is like saved, good to go, ready to rock and roll, or whatever terrible phrase people say. And now I'm going to do a save as. And I'm going to call it the same thing it was before, but I'm going to call it flat to print. So once I have save as, I'm going to go ahead and flatten the image. All right, make sure once again that I'm on that flat to print one. I am. Save it. Perfect. So now I have a copy of my image that is flat, right? Flat image is what we want to send to the printer. If I get my test strip back and something is wonky, I'm going to go back into that layered file to edit it. There are now helicopters coming for me, so if I am whisked off screen, you'll know that they got me. Okay, so it's the right size. We've saved as, we've flattened it. Let's go ahead and double check our color space, which we should have done before we did those things. What profile are we in? Adobe RGB 1998. That is fine. We will keep it right there. All right, I'm going to remember resolution 239 pixels. Put in the head. Okay, so what we need two things from our test strip. We need a full-size image shrunk down, and then we need some details at 100%, meaning that they have not been resized at all. We want to be making our test strip on a size of paper that corresponds to the paper and printer that we are going to use in the end. I am going to hypothetically use a 36-inch wide printer for this. You can sort of choose whatever size you want. So that's going to determine our width. So it's a 36-inch wide roll of paper. And then the height is going to be whatever sort of the minimum is that our printing service will do. Maybe it's 8 inches, maybe it's 10 inches, maybe it's 12 inches. That is sort of dependent on them. So we're going to make a new document. We're going to call it whatever the name of our image is. All right, name, blah, 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 test strip. I'm going to put the date on it. And the reason I do that is because you will probably have a number of rounds of test strip, and so you want to make sure that you know which is which. Then I'm going to give it a size that is in inches, 36 inches. That's how wide our roll of paper is. I'm going to say 10 inches is the minimum that my hypothetical printing service will print. Resolution has to match your document. If you don't remember what it is, stop right now, hit cancel, go back, look at it. I remember it's 239 pixels per inch. RGB color, yes. Color profile, Adobe RGB 1998. Bit depth, gosh, I don't actually remember what that is. I'll leave it at 16 and change it if that is wrong. And I will hit OK. So let's go back and check, whoops, my bit depth. 16, cool. This one is also 16. So now I have this blank test strip, right? This is what I'm going to send to my printer, and they're going to print it out. We want two things on here. We want the overall thing, like I said, and then we want some shrunk down, and we want some pieces at 100%. So overall thing is the easy one. Come back over here to my flat to print, select all, copy. So Command A, Command C. Come back to my test strip, paste, Command V. And now I could shrink this down so that it were a short vertical, but it's a tall file. It doesn't make a lot of sense to squish it that far. I'm just going to rotate it and have it be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to hit Command T for free transform, right? Rotate it. I can hold down Shift so that it rotates in appropriate increments rather than just freehand. And now I'm going to scale it, not losing proportion, scale it down so the whole thing fits on my piece of paper. I don't want to go all the way to the edge on the two sides, again, because it's a roll of paper, can't print all the way to the edge. I could go to the edges top and bottom. That wouldn't matter because, again, that's where it's getting cut off. Okay, so we've got our overall thing. It's scaled down. That doesn't matter. Now we need to go back and get some pieces that are full size. Now, what pieces do we want to choose and how do we do it? What pieces you choose is going to depend on what's important in your photograph. We want to see if things are sharp. We want to see if the color in a specific bit looks good, if the detail looks good, how tones render. So you want to choose the pieces that are most important or that you're the most worried about. I'm going to go down here and get this person at the door because I am concerned that's going to be too dark and won't print out properly, and I'm kind of curious how sharp it looks. So I select that, Command C to copy, go back over here, Command V to paste, and I do not resize it, right? We want it to be the same size that it will be in our eventual print, right? Because that's what we're checking. We're checking what will it look like in the final print. So do not transform it. It's the same reason why we make sure that our PPI is the same in my test strip as it is in my original. That means that it won't scale when we're copying and pasting between them. So we've got that. That was good. Command D to deselect. I'm going to grab a little bit up here. Command C to copy. Command V to paste. Move it around. I usually recommend getting something from the corners. Corners are the area that you're going to have the most distortion in your image just because of the way lenses work. Cool. Drop that down there. And come back here. All right, grab some more corner. copy, paste it around. Now, in addition to things that are important or corners or any of that stuff, the other thing that we might be interested in checking out are any areas that are out of Gamut. Now, you remember last week we went through how to set up proofing and check to see if things were out of Gamut, right? Gamut warning, big gray thing. When we do this for reals, we would want to be checking it for the gamut of our printer and paper that we're actually using. So we would go up to View, Proof Setup, Custom, and then we would go here to Device to Simulate, and you would choose something that was the actual printer and paper that you are planning on using. Here we go. So I've chosen this one. Now I put in the sample file folder some ICC profiles from PrintFX for some of the printers that they use. So I would say it is a reasonable exercise to install those on your computer and then check them out with the sort of proofing profile. If you know what printing service you're using for your final thing, right, you could go download that and check it out, right? You're not getting a test strip, so you won't necessarily know what is going to happen, but it will at least show you if there are any big areas that are out of Gamut. How do you install an ICC profile? You Google it and figure it out. That's it. It goes in like library color sync profiles or something like that. Google it. You can do it. Okay, so chosen my hypothetical printer and paper, view Gamut warning, and I don't see anything that is out of Gamut, which makes sense. There's not a lot of really strong saturated colors in this image. So I'm going to go ahead and not worry about it. I'm just going to grab some more house, copy, paste, move it over here, and I can rotate it, right? I don't want to scale it, but I can rotate it to make sure it all fits in there. Cool. So let's say that this is everything that I want, right? I've checked for any out of Gamut things. I've done that using the profile for the printer and paper that I'm intending to use. I have copied and put those in here. I haven't resized anything after that first overall. What next? We're pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of space at the sides, right? Because again, printing on a roll, so the top and the bottom doesn't matter, but the sides do. It can't print all the way to the sides. I'm going to go ahead and flatten all these layers, right? Every time I paste something, it drops in a new layer, so I want to flatten that. So flatten image, and I'm going to just make sure that image size, check that again, inches, 239 pixels per inch. Check again my profile, WRGB 1998, awesome. And we are done. I'm just going to hit save, right? Because I have this magical test strip thing. I want to save it in whatever file format I would be using for my final print. It's probably either a TIFF or a PSD. I'm going to go ahead and keep this as a PSD. It says embed color profile. That is not the right color profile though. Did I accidentally convert it? I accidentally converted it. Tisk tisk. All right, went back in my history. That's why you got to pay attention to these things. And try it again. Save, Photoshop, embed profile, WRGB 998. Yes, that's the right one. And hit save. So there you go. That's my profile, or my test strip. It looks great. In the assignment for assignment 10, I asked you to make it a TIFF, so go ahead and do that. Remember, right, overall things scale down, then pieces where you don't scale them, you can rotate them, but don't scale them. Make sure that when you make your new test strip, for that to make any sense, you have to make a new test strip in the same color space at the same PPI as your main file. And remember that you are saving as a flattened copy of your main file first, so that way when you just copy and paste, you don't have to worry about inadvertently copying one layer but not everything else. So there you go. Now you've learned a new technique. It will save you money. It will save you time. It will make you taller. It will cause hair growth, something. Yeah, and even though we're not going to be doing it right now, as far as printing it out, this will be infinitely helpful to you in the rest of your photographic printing out careers. So go for it.